You ever met a guy who had it all going for him, looks, charm, stability, and still somehow, she lost interest? Or maybe you've been that guy. You gave her your time. You were there. You cared. But suddenly, she started pulling away. Her texts slowed down. Her tone changed. Her energy faded. It's brutal. But here's the truth, attraction isn't lost in one big moment. It's bled out slowly, through tiny, invisible mistakes men don't even realize they're making. Welcome to Astad Psyche, the channel where we decode modern dating, relationships, and the raw psychology behind why things fall apart, or why they work. I'm your host Astad, and if you're tired of feeling confused about women, stuck in cycles, or constantly wondering what went wrong, this is where you turn confusion into clarity. So before we go any further, do the smart thing. Like, share, and subscribe if this hits you right in the gut. Because what you're about to hear will either save your love life, or explain why it keeps breaking. Let's get into it. 1. Being too available, the death of mystery. Let's be honest. We've all been taught that consistency and availability are virtues in relationships. And they are, in long-term commitment. But early attraction? That's a different beast. Here's what most guys don't understand. Attraction thrives in uncertainty. It needs mystery, challenge, even a little distance to grow. When you make yourself constantly available, always texting back immediately, always free when she calls, always rearranging your plans, you strip the relationship of suspense. Why does this kill attraction? Psychologically, it ties back to intermittent reinforcement, a principle in behavioral psychology where unpredictable rewards increase engagement. Think about gambling. You keep pulling the lever because the next hit might be a win. In dating, a bit of uncertainty keeps her emotionally engaged. But when you're always there, there's no suspense. No wondering. No depth. Pause. Think about that. Now let's move to another common mistake. 2. Seeking validation instead of leading with purpose. Women are emotionally tuned. Deeply so. They can sniff out insecurity before you even realize you're leaking it. When you make her your source of worth, when you need her attention, her praise, her affection to feel good about yourself, you lose her respect. That's because masculine energy is rooted in groundedness, direction, and self-worth that's internally sourced. When a man seeks validation, he turns into a boy looking for mommy's approval. It's unattractive. Neuroscience backs this. Dopamine spikes from social validation can become addictive, which is why needy men overcommunicate. But attraction doesn't grow in neediness, it grows in polarity. In energy dynamics where the masculine leads with confidence and the feminine relaxes into that. Don't need her to like you. Lead a life that makes her want to be part of it. 3. Being too nice, aka, pleasing instead of leading. We went in deep on this in our last video, why nice guys finish last. But let's quickly revisit. Being nice isn't bad. But being overly nice to gain favor? That's manipulation disguised as kindness. The truth is, most nice guys are actually afraid. Afraid to assert themselves. Afraid to lose the girl. Afraid to say no. But women respect strength. Strength doesn't mean being rude or aggressive, it means you value yourself enough to speak your truth, enforce your boundaries, and walk away if necessary. Being nice isn't attractive if it comes at the cost of your self-respect. Pause there. Let that sink in. Let's shift gears. 4. Over-explaining and oversharing early on. When you meet someone new and you feel that spark, it's natural to want to connect deeply. But too much too soon? That's a trap. Oversharing, especially when it's rooted in a desire to prove how deep, sensitive, or worthy you are, often backfires. You rob the other person of discovery. You take away the joy of gradually getting to know you. Psychological insight * humans bond through a progressive reveal of vulnerability. When someone dumps their life story too early, it can trigger discomfort, especially if it's emotionally heavy. Instead, focus on present moment energy, let the connection grow organically. Which brings us to a powerful transition point. 5. Ignoring the power of presence. Most men aren't really with women when they're with them. They're in their heads, thinking about what to say next, worrying about how they're being perceived, analyzing their facial expressions. But women don't fall in love with a man's resume. They fall in love with how they feel around him. And that feeling comes from presence, full, grounded, eye-to-eye, no distractions presence. Mindfulness studies show that people who practice presence, even in short bursts, are perceived as more attractive, more trustworthy, and more emotionally intelligent. So stop chasing the perfect thing to say. Start listening. Start being. That, alone, will set you apart. 6. Not having a mission outside of her. When a man makes a woman the center of his world, he loses the gravity that drew her in. Biologically and evolutionarily, women are drawn to men with direction, a purpose, a mission. Why? Because purpose equals stability. It signals strength, focus, and long-term resourcefulness. When you orbit around her world instead of inviting her into yours, she starts seeing you as support, not as a leader. This isn't about ego. It's about energetic polarity. Masculinity expands outward. It drives. It creates. So, what are you building, becoming, leading, living for, besides her? 7. Trying to convince instead of attract. You can't talk your way into genuine desire. Yet many men fall into the trap of selling themselves. I have a good job. I'd treat you right. I'm different from other guys. Listen, attraction isn't logical. It's emotional. It's not about convincing. It's about aligning your energy, your presence, your confidence in a way that naturally draws her in. When you try to convince a woman to want you, it shows you don't believe she already should. And that insecurity? She feels it. Because the truth is, attraction doesn't just fade. It dies slowly, from 1,000 tiny mistakes men make without ever realizing. But once you understand these behaviors and rewire your mindset, not only will you stop pushing women away, you'll become magnetic without chasing. Let's go. 8. Constant validation seeking. Did I do okay? Do you still love me? Are you mad at me? These are the kinds of questions that slowly chip away at attraction. Psychologically speaking, this is rooted in anxious attachment. According to Dr. Amir Levine, co-author of Attached, constantly seeking reassurance signals insecurity, and insecurity repels. Attraction is built on the perception of strength, independence, and emotional stability. Needing validation doesn't just make her feel like your therapist, it puts pressure on her to manage your self-worth. Instead, become your own source of validation. When you walk into a room, let your presence say, I know who I am, and I'm good with it. 9. Not having a purpose outside the relationship. Listen carefully, your mission in life should never be her. This mistake is common in relationships where a man becomes so invested emotionally, mentally, and physically that he loses his purpose, his goals, his edge. Psychologist Jordan Peterson often says that men thrive when they pursue responsibility. And responsibility doesn't mean just being a good boyfriend. It means chasing excellence, building something meaningful, and staying on your grind. Women feel emotionally safe and attracted to men who are on a path, who have direction, and who bring her into their world, not make her the world. Stay focused. 10. Over-explaining and over-communicating. Modern dating advice often preaches, communicate, communicate, communicate. Yes, emotional availability is essential. But what many men don't realize is that overexposure can kill mystery, which is a crucial element of attraction. When you over-explain every emotion, every thought, every insecurity, what's left for her to be curious about? According to psychologist Esther Perel, desire needs space. When everything is overly expressed, there's no room for imagination, intrigue, or polarity. So, share, but don't spill. Express, but don't flood. Let her want to understand you, not have to understand every line of your emotional diary. 11. Complaining instead of leading. Leaders solve problems. complainers magnify them. When things go wrong, maybe in the relationship or life, a man who reacts by whining, sulking, or blaming others creates emotional instability. That's unattractive. Masculine energy thrives in direction, structure, and solution. Be the man who stays calm in chaos, who listens before reacting, who acts instead of reacts. Every time you face an issue, ask yourself, am I acting like a thermostat or a thermometer? Thermometers react. Thermostats set the tone. Set the tone. 12. Trying to be who she wants, not who you are. This one's deadly because it often starts with good intentions. A guy meets a girl, really likes her, and slowly starts reshaping himself into what he thinks she wants. New music, new habits, fake interests. Soon, he loses his identity, his backbone, and his self-respect. Here's the truth, attraction is never about fitting in. It's about standing out. Psychologically, this is known as self-abandonment. It's when you sacrifice your authenticity for approval. Real attraction happens when you say, this is me. Take it or leave it. That's when people respect you. That's when she sees a man, not a puppet. Never morph, stand firm. Let's pause here. If you've made any of these mistakes, don't beat yourself up. You're not alone. In fact, most of us have made them repeatedly until the pain taught us better. What matters is awareness. Self-awareness is the beginning of all growth. You can unlearn. You can evolve. And when you do, you won't just become better with women, you'll become better with yourself. This is your transformation. Own it. If this video woke something up in you, don't let the insight die here. Like the video. Share it with a brother who needs this. And hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. Because I'm Ashdod, your host. And here, we don't just talk dating, we talk evolution. The pinned comment has everything you need to go deeper. Stay sharp. Stay real. Stay rising. / End of part 2.